What's up, guys? Today we are at the State Fish Hatchery here in Hebron, Ohio, just a few miles away from our store here in Hebron. And we're gonna go through to the archery range that they have here, do some test shots, show you guys what our summer routine looks like, some of the positions that we find ourselves in when we practice. Hopefully, the season's a week away as we're filming this. Hopefully you guys are out or have been out practicing. If not, you better get on it. So what we'll do, we'll go through, show you kind of our top 5 positions that we like to put ourselves in and kind of replicate that hunting scenario, if you will. So come with me and we'll show you the range. All right, guys, so like we said earlier, we're over here at the Hebron State Fish Hatchery. So what we're going to cover today is kind of our top 5 things that we like to do when we come out here in the summertime and practice before the actual season. So the first one that we're going to kind of cover today would be that situation when you're in the tree stand or you're in your saddle and you find yourself in a less than ideal position. Maybe you got caught and you weren't aware of a deer coming in. So what we're going to try to focus on in this position would be not having our feet, not your normal archery stance. We're gonna kind of put our feet as if we were standing in a stand, and we'll go ahead and shoot, and then we'll do the same thing as if the deer was coming from behind us, turn around and shoot. So we'll go ahead and show you how that looks here real fast. So obviously I'd be acting like I was in the stand. I may have a buck or something come down. We want the least amount of movement as possible. As you can see, my hips aren't exactly where I'd like to have them. Settle, fire, and got a dead deer. So another one would be, go ahead and get another arrow out here. Let's say that buck were to come from behind me. So I'm standing in my saddle. It's not necessarily too much of a problem because I'd be able to swing around. But if I was in a traditional tree stand or some type of hang-on stand and that buck coming from behind me, I'd want to practice having a shot like this. Same thing, settle, fire, and do that. So it's just something to think about. Come in, spend a couple minutes doing each one of these that we're getting ready to cover. And it'll make you a better hunter for sure. So we'll go ahead and grab those arrows and we'll come back and we'll show you the next one. So tip number 2, you shoot from the ground, whether it's seated, on your knees, maybe one knee up. Basically, you want to get down low. Us Midwestern guys, a lot of us are hunting out of blinds, and so by shooting on the ground, it's going to help you practice just having that movement all in your upper body. You're not putting any of your legs or anything like that in it. So again, get on your knees. You can put one leg up, or if you have a stool or something that you're going to use in the blind, go ahead and sit in that and just practice shooting out of that blind or shooting that seated position. So you're simply just going to come up, draw back, anchor, and release. So again, tip number 2, get on the ground. All right, guys, so for our third tip, this one's pretty much self-explanatory, but definitely bring out the broadhead that you choose to use, as well as the arrow and any type of configuration that you have. You definitely want to make sure that what you're bringing out to the field with you is going to fly the way that you expect it to, and you owe it to the animal to make sure that everything is ready to go before you even come out. So again, don't use the sharpest broadhead that you have or a brand new one. This is an old practice Montec from G5. It's a fixed blade broadhead. I use it, but this one is solely just for practice. When it comes time to hunting, I'll go ahead and swap this guy out, use it on this arrow because I know it's flying pretty well, and then that way we're good to go. So again, shoot the arrow that you're going to bring into the field. It's only going to help you with that confidence and making sure that you get a clean shot. So we'll go ahead and just send one of these down range real fast. All right, guys, so for our 4th tip, we're fortunate enough that our archery range here in Hebron has an upper deck, but you gotta shoot elevated. You gotta try to practice making those shots. Standing on the ground and shooting is fine, but when you're in a tree stand or a saddle, your angle is gonna be completely different. So in the ground, you're just gonna shoot nice and straight, right into a target. But when you're up above, you definitely need to factor in the angle in which your arrow is going to come down and hit that deer. So like I said, if you have the option to shoot elevated, throw a tree stand in your front yard or backyard, get in your saddle, climb up 15, 20 feet, and just practice making those elevated shots. It's only going to help you when you're actually out in the woods. So the last tip number 5, it's gonna look a little awkward if you're actually at an archery range, but if you're at home, comfort your own home, definitely do it. Everyone knows buck fever. Your heart rate is flying through the roof. This is something that I kind of picked up through Cam Haynes and watching some of his videos, and that is run and shoot. I know it sucks. No one wants to run, especially when it's 85 degrees outside. So I already shot an arrow down there at 50. I'm gonna go sprint down, sprint back, knock that arrow and send it again. And by doing that, it's gonna make me come to terms with my heart rate being crazy. And then, it's only gonna help us when we do have that spike, when we see that buck coming in, just settling down, making sure that you're performing the shot that that you can take. All right guys, so that wraps up our 5 tips to do before season starts. As we're recording this today, we're only 9 days away from the start of archery season here in Ohio, so we're a little bit behind on doing this, but this is something that you should be practicing all summer long, or even into the season for that matter. We're at a range where we're not spooking any type of deer or any wildlife that we're wanting to hunt, so definitely get out and continue to practice. So those 5 tips, again, real fast. We're going to shoot from our feet in an awkward position as if we're in a stand. Number 2 was sitting down as if you're in a blind. 3, shoot with what you're going to bring to the field. So shoot your broadheads, shoot your lighted nocks, make sure that those arrows are flying true that you expect them to. 4, elevated. Most of us are going to be hunting out of a stand, so definitely get up, practice those elevated shots. And then 5, which is a little bit quirky one, you probably haven't heard of, but wanting to get that heart rate up, get that adrenaline pumping. That way when that monster buck comes out in front of you this fall, you're ready to go and you're mentally prepared. So with that said, that's all we have, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.